every few months, and because it's so bad, we're going to continue to test, and we'll continue to find 12,000 out of every city. We're going to, this is just going to inundate us, and they'll continue to do all the things that are working. And I'll tell you who the sheep are, who the sheep are, who are being gullible. The gullible people are those who are wearing masks.
I agree with you on that. I know there are people that disagree with you on that, but I certainly agree with you on that, because masks in this case don't do anything. I had a conversation with a medical doctor this week who said, I've had it. I've had it. I can't believe this. This everyone's a sheep, and everyone's and these masks don't do a damn thing. And it's kind of like swatting at mosquitoes with a tennis racket. It's just not going to work.
Here's an interesting statistic that came from some people who create filters. Okay? Now, I didn't talk to them myself. A good friend of mine talked to them, and he reported it to me. I have a lot of stuff being reported to me. The best these masks will ever do, the best any of them will ever do, is filter out something 3 microns or bigger. That's the best they can do. Most of them will not filter that at all. Anything that's less than 3 microns will go through the mask like water through a sieve. Okay? Niagara Falls. You want to collect any water in a city, and put it under Niagara Falls, because it's all just going to go right through it. Put that in your thought pattern. The disease germ is 1 micron, which is 100 millionth. Did you hear that name? 1 micron is 100 millionth. That's how small it is. It's 100 millionth of a meter. That's a micron. 100 millionth of a meter. That's a micron. So that will go through anything that they're putting on their faces. Anything at all. There is no barrier. It's done. 100 millionth of a meter is a micron. Nothing that we're wearing will filter out probably no more than 50. But the best they're doing is only 3, and it still goes through like a sieve. Water through a sieve.
Well, I'm looking at the numbers here right now. Supposedly 500,000 dead around the world since the beginning of this. So 500,000, relatively speaking, unless you're one of the 500,000 or a family member, it's just a mere statistic. Unless, of course, you are that statistic or you're near that. So, okay, so what? I mean, the flu, seasonal flu, and other such viruses create more mortality than that.
Hundreds, thousands, million, billion. Okay, there's 7 billion. If you put 500 million on that.
500,000. Wait.
500,000. Half a billion. Right. 500 million, that's 500 million. Right. It is,
500 million is 500 million. 500, or I'm sorry. 500,000.
How many? Give that again.
Okay,
500,000.
There's 500,000 dead.
500,000, not 500 million. 500,000 deaths. So
right.
You're going to divide 500 into 7 million. Let's see if my computer will do that.
7 billion.
7 billion, yeah, but if you divide 500, you divide 50 into, if you have 7, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 500, then you take off those other 2 zeros. So 5 divided by 7 equals 5 divided by 7.
Tomorrow we'll be working on our numbers and colors.
Right. It's something like in the neighborhood of 7 hundredths of a percent or some number like that.
It's a very small. It's a tiny number.
It's so small you can't visualize it. You've never even considered anything. But you see, here's another factor. If there were that many deaths, we would know personally people have had it happen to them. They're not all everywhere else.
Right.
They got to be somewhere around us.
Well, 150,000 supposedly, or roughly, last I saw it, in the United States. So if our demographic is mostly in the United States, you would think that somebody knows somebody.
Yeah, you'd have some knowledge. Somebody lives somewhere in a state that you'd know. You'd have some knowledge of these things. If that many people had died, it would be apparent somewhere, somehow. 150,000? That would be apparent.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people who have had people die in the Twin Towers. And that was only 3,000, not 150.
Right.
If you have 150,000 people die of that thing in this country, we would know of someone who's died. Generally speaking, people who have been common knowledge. I know of nobody. I only know of 3 that even had the case. A real case. I only know of 3. In my entire collection of people I talk to and I hear, I only know of 3. One, I only know of one close by here in Utah. But there's bound to have been more than one. But I only know of one. This is not out in the open. All these statistics are. I took a class. It was called How to Lie with Statistics. Oh, you could really do it. These people are experts.
Yeah.
You can say there's 150,000 when I know that 150,000 has lots and lots of people who died of other things. I know they did. I don't know it.
Yeah. All right. So, what bothers me the most, and I guess it's almost like, to some, it's like this is like beating a dead horse, or just saying, what else is there to talk about? But the fact of the matter is, the timing of this, the livelihoods and jobs, I guess, and the damage done to the economy, irreparable damage, and now they're saying, well, we need to close, we need to restrict travel. You've got travel restrictions now to different states. You've got quarantine mandatory in different states. Heavy fines in the event you get caught not bringing your health papers with you. For example, New York, $10,000 fine.
Oh my!
So what the heck? I mean, all at one time now, and it seems like it just I don't know. By the way, somebody had sent a question in, and I think you had answered this before. Is it constitutionally allowable for a governor to mandate anything in terms of commerce in their own state? So.
No, it is not It is not legal. It can't be. It's not in. There's no such thing. It can't be done. People say, well, you can do it during the pandemic. No, you can't. It's not legal. You can suggest, you can recommend, you can do all the stuff you want, but you cannot force those things. A government official can't force any of that. Now, the company you work in can, because it's their private property. They can. But the government cannot. Nor can the government force a company, either. The government can't do it. The government can suggest. By the way, if there are 150,000 in the United States that have died from this, that is a ratio of 0.0045%. Yeah, 0.5, which is 0.45%. Less than 0.5%. Less than 0.5% of the population of the United States has died. But even so, that's still 0.5%.
Yeah.
But even so, 150,000 people would know about it. I would know people, everybody would know people as it happened to. 150,000 is anyway, we would know about it. We would know. 150,000 is a very big number. I've been told of people, family members, by family members told the family members that died in the Twin Towers. We know about those deaths. Those deaths in the Twin Towers are not hidden. We know about it.
Right.
And people, and we know people who know of people who did it. I know that's too removed, but it's still there. I don't know of anybody who knows anybody who's died from this. I'm sure there's somebody that I know that might tell me there's one, but 150,000 deaths, and it's this hidden? Now here's another thing. Here's another statistic. Statistics are important, but here's another item. Remember I mentioned just a few minutes ago that a company came out, two companies came out and said the antibodies don't survive,
yes.
And then another one today came out and said that.
Yeah.
How interesting is that? As it begins to slow down, as the whole thing begins to slow down, people are going out of lockdown, people are getting away from doing some stuff, we're getting some people back to work. All of a sudden, we have a plethora of new cases. And then in a week, in 2 days of a week, the news comes out with, however it came out, with three companies that now have studies that show that the disease doesn't go away. You don't get immune from it. How come that was so put together that three happened at the same time?
Yeah,
not one.
That's curious.
And 6 weeks later, another one. But all three of them in the same days?
Yeah, suddenly everyone found the same thing at the same time. Yeah.
Yes, it boggles the imagination, doesn't it?
It does.
Because they really do think we're dummies, and you know what? We are. As a country, we're going to swallow that hook, line, and sinker. Oh no, I'll have to have shots forever.
Is it okay? So one other question, and I know I asked you this before. There's nothing in the Constitution. I mean, no one can, constitutionally speaking, no one can force you to get a vaccination. Am I right?
That is right. Fourth Amendment. You are right.
Okay. All right. Now, okay. The next question I have was: would there be anything, any aggravating circumstance that would negate that constitutional restriction?
Well, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a question to answer that one. When the Founding Fathers wrote the document, they were concerned about governments taking over people. They were very concerned about that.
Yep.
The Second Amendment is about that. Governments taking over the people. The states and the people did not want the government to be able to take over the people.
Right.
We are our own people. I know when I'm sick and I know when I'm not sick. I don't want the government treating me as if I'm sick, whether I am or not. They don't have the right to violate my person under any circumstance. They have the power to do it. They can force it on you. Bring the military and shove you down and pin you down and shove it in you. They can do that. Oh yes. But constitutionally, they do not have the right, the authority to do it. Nothing. It doesn't matter. If it's a pandemic, people aren't so stupid. Let's refer back to the pandemic of the 1800s. I mean the 1918.
Right.
I don't really have a lot of the information about that pandemic. What? They didn't have all these lockdowns. They didn't try to force people to do this and do that and do the other. And millions did die from that pandemic. It really was one. But these things didn't happen.